What do you hope to show your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with your play today?
I'm who they've been looking for.
Credit where credit is due. This interview with Shedeur Sanders, it happened right before kickoff yesterday afternoon in Las Vegas. Now, we can debate whether or not the level of talent, the level of greatness was passed on from father to son. But one thing that's not debatable, Shedeur Sanders damn sure inherited Daddy Deion's confidence. And look, confidence is a good thing. If you don't have confidence in yourself, if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you're basically setting yourself up for huge embarrassing failure. If I came on here every day and I spoke in a soft monotone, if I never took a position, if I agreed with both sides, if I was timid and too afraid to offend anyone, you know how many viewers and subscribers I would have? None. So I understand the confidence that Shedeur Sanders has in himself, but there is a huge difference between confidence and what could be perceived as arrogance. Credit where credit is due, that. Before the game yesterday, Shedeur Sanders said he would show fans in Cleveland that he is who they've been looking for, and he went out and backed it up on the field for one day. He backed it up on the field against arguably the worst team in the NFL. It was a nice win on the road for a rookie quarterback. Shedeur Sanders should feel accomplished, but just because you went on the road and bruised the caboose of the worst team in the league, that does not mean you've made it. The truth is, Shedeur Sanders wasn't what I would call great yesterday. Browns defense was great. Hell, the Browns defense has been elite all season. Myles Garrett was phenomenal. But Shedeur Sanders, he was okay. He was passable. He was good enough for a fifth-round rookie making his first start in the league. But if you didn't watch the game and you based your opinion on how Shedeur Sanders was carrying himself after the game, you would think this kid was the chosen one. You would think Deion's baby boy had the ability to walk on water. Hell, according to Shedeur Sanders himself, it could get dangerous. Yeah, it could get dangerous. Could get really dangerous if we're talking about your future on this team, because Kevin Stefanski, he continues to be non-committal when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. The mainstream media, they're applying the pressure. They are pushing for Shedeur Sanders to be the starter the rest of the season. But Kevin Stefanski, he seems to have doubts. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Nominations are now open for the third annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. Appreciate all of you guys who sent in your nominations yesterday. If you have someone you want to nominate for the third annual HEF Awards, send me an email, btlkc84@gmail.com. Let's go and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. My uncle called me a couple of weeks ago. He's a military veteran, served in the Gulf War in the early 90s. As he's gotten older, he's been dealing with various health-related issues. Doctors had him on pain management, had him taking all this medicine just to go to sleep at night, most of which wasn't working. Once the meds wore off, he was tossing and turning all night. Plus, he was building up a tolerance. Last month, my aunt bought him some CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading. Wanted him to try it out just to see if it worked. He applies the CBD lotion every night before bed. My uncle is getting the best sleep that he's gotten in years. Doesn't even take the pain medication anymore because he doesn't need it. Recently, I gave some of the CBD lotion to my dad. He's been installing and repairing sprinkler systems my entire life, so he's developed pain in his knees. Hates taking pills, so I gave him some of the CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain to try out. His knees are pain-free, even at 74 years old. All CBD products offered at Sugar Mountain Trading, 100% natural, 100% 100% free of THC. Plus, they have upped their discount code for the holidays, so click the link in the description below. Use the new discount code BTL35. Receive 35% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. After the game yesterday, Shedeur Sanders was understandably elated. Kid dropped a massive turd last week against the Ravens. He was heavily criticized for his performance. To his credit, he fought through adversity, looked pretty good yesterday against the Raiders. On the field, Shedeur Sanders showed potential. On the field, he seemed to have a pretty good command of the offense, didn't look rattled, the moment didn't seem like it was too big for him. On the field, Shedeur Sanders showed that he might have a future in this league. Off the field, I'll let you decide for yourself. Watch these two clips. First clip is right after the game. Second clip is in the post-game press conference. You tell me if this is confidence or arrogance. You tell me if this is what you want to see in a potential franchise quarterback. Watch for yourself.
Off of 1 week of practice, you know what I mean? This 1 week of practice. So imagine, you know, what a full offseason look like. It get dangerous. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? You know, so a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen.
You know, part of me likes this. Part of me sees Shedeur Sanders as a kid coming off his first win of his NFL career. He's excited, full of joy. To his credit, he also did give all glory to God in one of these interviews. But at the same time, this is a very slippery slope. For starters, Shedeur Sanders right. No one cares if you had 1 week of practice. Backup quarterbacks throughout the league are forced into starting positions after 1 week of practice every season. You know how many of them constantly point it out? None. If no one cares, why in the hell is Shedeur Sanders constantly bringing it up? I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to see Shedeur Sanders fail. Uncle KC is not one of them. I like Shedeur Sanders. I commended him during the draft for how he handled himself. I commended him throughout the offseason training camp for how he conducted himself. But that doesn't mean Shedeur Sanders is immune to criticism. The number one thing NFL head coaches try to eliminate: distractions. Hell, Colin Kaepernick was blackballed from the league for essentially being a distraction. 2 weeks ago, Tyler Shuck got his first win against the Panthers. Like Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Shuck was going on the road. Had 2 weeks of practice. He was making his second start. But after the game, Tyler Shuck wasn't talking about being dangerous. He wasn't talking about not getting opportunities during training camp. You know what Tyler Shuck was talking about in his post-game press conference? Getting better. He was humble. He wasn't making his first win all about himself. If Shedeur Sanders was the same way, no one would be talking about this morning. No one would be talking about his post-game interviews. It wouldn't be a potential distraction. There's so much more to being an NFL quarterback than the 3 hours that we see on the field every Sunday. How many times did you see Drew Brees talking like that in a post-game interview? What about Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson? Shedeur Sanders often mentions his critics, his haters. He mentioned in the post-game interview that there are people that want to see him fail. This just feeds into that narrative. Even if Shedeur Sanders becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which I hope he does, talking a big game can be a setup for failure, especially if you haven't proven that you have the ability to back it up consistently. Shedeur Sanders completed 55% of his passes yesterday. This Sunday, they've got the Niners at home. What happens if Shedeur Sanders drops another stinky turd? What happens if Shedeur Sanders has the exact same stat line that he had yesterday? 55%, just over 200 yards passing, a touchdown, an interception, and the Browns lose by 14 points, 17 points, 21 points. What are the critics going to do then? What are they going to say? They're going to point to these interviews and say, I thought he was who Cleveland needed. I thought it was about to get dangerous. What the hell happened to the confident Shedeur Sanders? You know, I often hear people complain that Shedeur Sanders is unfairly criticized, but the reality is, every quarterback in the league is criticized. For years, Colin Cowherd brutally criticized Baker Mayfield. He used to criticize Matt Stafford for wearing his hat backwards. Lamar Jackson was criticized for not being a good enough pocket passer. Michael Vick was criticized for struggling to be a competent passer. Every quarterback, especially young quarterbacks, they all get criticized, but not all of them feed into the criticism. The NFL has a very strange way of humbling you. Hell, just look at Tyler Shuck. He looks great against Carolina. Saints look like a flaming ass fire yesterday at home against the Falcons. The question is, what if Shedeur Sanders isn't the starting quarterback next week? Like I said, Kevin Stefanski has been non-committal thus far, but I don't see how Kevin Stefanski can bench Shedeur Sanders, mainly because he would be crucified by the media. At this point, you gotta see what you have with Shedeur Sanders. I think he has earned the opportunity to be the starter in Cleveland. I just hope Shedeur Sanders can back it up. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.